The mahogany dining table in our home had been there for as long as I could remember. It was big, strong, and dark brown, with shiny wood that reflected the light from the chandelier above it. This table was not just a piece of furniture. It was part of our family story. It had been passed down for 3 generations, which meant it had been in our family for a very long time, even before I was born. Every Sunday at exactly 6 o'clock in the evening, we all came together and sat around this table for dinner. No matter how busy anyone was, Sunday dinner was important. It was the one time we were all supposed to act like a close and loving family. My mother always made sure everything was perfect. She carefully placed the plates on the table, using special china dishes that had belonged to her own grandmother. These plates were only used for real family occasions, as she liked to say. To her, Sunday dinner was one of the most important traditions we had. That Sunday, I arrived at my parents' house with my 2 children. My son Benjamin was 15 years old, tall and quiet, but very smart and protective of people he loved. My daughter Grace was 8 years old. She had only been living with us for 6 months. She was a foster child, and we were in the process of adopting her. In just 3 weeks, she would officially become part of our family forever. Grace held my hand very tightly as we walked up the stone path to the front door. I could feel her small fingers gripping mine like she was afraid to let go. I understood why. She was still learning what it meant to belong somewhere. She had not always had a safe home, and sometimes she still worried she might lose the one she had now. I leaned down a little and whispered to her, "Remember what we talked about. You belong here just as much as anyone else. You are part of this family." Grace nodded slowly, but I could still see worry in her eyes. She wanted to believe me, but she was not fully sure yet. My family had not been very kind about Grace when we first brought her into our home. My mother had made several cold and hurtful comments on the phone. She talked about blood family, and acted like only people born into the family truly belonged. She also said she didn't know where foster children came from, as if that made them less important. Her words had hurt me deeply, but I tried to stay strong for Grace's sake. My father opened the front door when we arrived. He looked at us for a moment, but his eyes quickly went past Grace. He barely greeted her. Instead, he looked straight at Benjamin and said, "There's my grandson. Come help me with something in the garage before dinner." Benjamin looked at me, waiting for my permission. I gave him a small nod. He had always been close to me during this difficult time. He understood more than most adults did, and he cared deeply about Grace. I trusted him. Inside the house, the smell of roasted chicken filled the air. My mother's cooking was always very organized and traditional. Everything looked perfect, like always. My sister Catherine was already sitting in the living room with her husband and children. My brother Thomas was there too, sitting in my father's favorite chair and scrolling on his phone like he didn't care about anything around him. When Catherine saw us, she looked at Grace and said in a voice that was not very kind, "Oh, you brought her." I felt my chest tighten, but I stayed calm. "Her name is Grace," I said gently but firmly. "And yes, she is part of our family now." My mother came out of the kitchen wiping her hands on her apron. She looked at Grace the same way she might look at something she didn't understand. Not with warmth, but with distance. Then she clapped her hands once and said, "Dinner is ready. Everyone to the table." We all moved into the dining room. The table was already set beautifully. I had counted the plates earlier. There were 9 seats for 9 people. Everything seemed correct, but I still had a strange feeling in my stomach. My mother began pointing at where everyone should sit, like she was arranging pieces on a board. She told Catherine and her family where to sit. She told Thomas where to sit. She placed Benjamin next to his grandfather. Then I guided Grace toward 2 empty chairs together. I wanted her to sit beside me so she would feel safe. But before we could sit down, my mother suddenly stepped forward and stopped us. "Not there," she said sharply. I looked at her. "Why not?" "That is Catherine's usual seat," she replied, as if that explained everything. "There are other empty seats," I said, trying to stay calm. My mother shook her head. "Those seats are for family." I felt my heart beat faster. I looked down at Grace. She was holding my hand so tightly now that I could feel her fear. "She's family," I said firmly. My mother did not respond with kindness. Instead, she walked to the kitchen and came back carrying a cheap folding chair. It was the kind used only when too many guests came during holidays. She placed it far away from the table near the wall. "She can sit there," my mother said coldly. The room became completely silent. Even the children stopped talking. Nobody moved. Nobody smiled. Grace looked at the chair. She didn't cry, but I could see sadness in her face. She looked like she was trying very hard to understand why she was being treated differently. My anger was growing inside me, but I tried to stay calm for Grace. "She is not sitting there alone," I said. My father cleared his throat. "Let's not make a big scene," he said. But I replied, "I am not making a scene. I am just asking for fairness." Catherine sighed loudly. "Can we just eat already?" But I pulled out a chair next to Benjamin and said, Grace, sit here. Before Grace could move, my mother quickly grabbed the chair and pulled it back. Her voice turned sharp and cold. Foster children do not sit at this table like a real family. Those words felt like a slap. The room went silent again. I could hear the clock ticking in the hallway. Grace did not move. She just stood there, still holding my hand. She was trying so hard not to cry. My heart broke for her. Then something unexpected happened. Benjamin, who had been quiet the entire time, slowly pulled out his phone. He looked calm but focused. "Grandma," he said, "do you want me to show everyone something important?" My father looked nervous. My mother looked confused. "Benjamin, put that away," my father said quickly. But Benjamin shook his head. "No," he said softly. "I think everyone should know the truth." Catherine looked annoyed. "What truth?" she asked. Benjamin looked at me for a second, and I gave him a small nod. I knew what he was about to do. We had talked about it before. I never wanted it to come to this, but my mother's behavior had gone too far. Benjamin began speaking in a calm voice. 3 years ago, when Grandpa Elizabeth passed away, there was a big fight in the family about his money and property. Some people nodded slowly. They remembered. A lot of people were upset, Benjamin continued. There were arguments, and the family almost broke apart. My Uncle Thomas frowned. "We all know that story," he said. "Why are you bringing this up?" Benjamin stayed calm. "Because there is something you don't all know." The room became very quiet again. "Grandpa Elizabeth left a trust," Benjamin said. "It is like a special money plan that helps take care of the family." My mother's face changed a little. She looked uncomfortable. Benjamin continued. "Mom is the main person in charge of it. She has been for years." My father stood up quickly. "That is enough," he said loudly. But I said softly, "Let him finish." Benjamin kept going. "This trust pays for many things. It helps pay for this house. It helps pay for school fees. It helps pay for bills and other family needs." Now everyone was listening carefully. Benjamin looked around the table. "But there is a rule," he said. Everyone waited. "The trust is only meant to help family members who are kind, respectful, and loving to all other family members," he explained in simple words. "Especially to those who need extra care." The room was so quiet you could hear a spoon drop. My mother looked shocked. Catherine looked confused and scared. My father slowly sat back down. Benjamin ended by saying, "So how people treat others in this family actually matters a lot." I gently put my arm around Grace. "She is part of this family," I said again, softly but clearly. "And she deserves love and respect like everyone else." The room stayed silent. No one spoke. But for the first time that night, the power in the room felt different. As the person in charge of the family trust, I had the power to make decisions about money that supported many people in my family. But even though I had that power, I never wanted to use it in a cruel way. I especially would never allow anyone to treat my foster daughter badly. She was going to become my legally adopted daughter in just 3 weeks. What had happened was not small. It was not just about a chair or a seat at a table. It showed something deeper about how some people in my family thought about her. And I could not ignore that. My mother finally spoke, even though she usually stayed quiet in difficult moments. "You wouldn't dare do something like that," she said, trying to sound strong. I looked right at her. My voice stayed calm, but firm. "You just told my 8-year-old daughter that she doesn't belong at the family table. You gave her a folding chair like she was not really part of us. Tell me honestly, what do you think Grandpa Elizabeth would say if he saw that?" Nobody answered. The room became very quiet. It felt like everyone was thinking at the same time, but no one wanted to speak first. I could see my siblings looking at each other, unsure of what to say. Catherine's children went to a very expensive private school. It cost $48,000 every year for each child, and the family trust paid for all of it. They never had to worry about school fees. Thomas also depended on the trust money. His own business had failed 2 years earlier, and since then, the monthly money from the trust was what kept his life going. Without it, he would struggle a lot. My parents were also living a comfortable life. They lived in a big house that was fully paid for by the trust. They did not have a mortgage or rent to pay. Their car, their club membership, and even their vacations twice a year were all paid using trust money. My father finally spoke, but his voice was not as strong as usual. "This is blackmail," he said. But I could tell even he did not fully believe his own words. "No," I said calmly. "These are consequences." Then I continued speaking, even though it was hard. "For 3 years, I have been paying for many of your lives without asking for anything in return. I didn't even tell you everything I was doing, because I wanted something real from you. I wanted your love to be real, not something connected to money." I knelt down beside Grace. She was still standing in the same spot, not moving, like she was scared to even breathe. "But I will not let anyone hurt her," I said gently but firmly. "Not for money. Not for anything in this world." Catherine suddenly stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. "This is crazy," she said loudly. "You're going to punish all of us just because Mom made a seating mistake?" But another voice interrupted her. It wasn't just a mistake, Benjamin said firmly. She said foster children don't belong with us. That is not a small mistake. That shows how she really thinks. Catherine's husband gently touched her arm and whispered, Jen, maybe stop talking now. But Catherine was angry and not ready to stop. You're really going to take away my kid's education because of this? She asked. I'm not taking anything away, I said. I am giving you a choice. Everyone turned to listen carefully. You can apologize to Grace. Not just quick words, but a real apology. And you must mean it. You must also promise that from now on she will be treated exactly like every other grandchild in this family. I paused for a moment so everyone could understand. Or the trust payments will stop next month. My mother made a sound like she was about to cry and laugh at the same time. It showed how shocked she was. You can't be serious, she said softly. I have never been more serious in my life, I replied. Benjamin pulled out his phone and showed something to my father. This is the trust document, Benjamin said. It clearly says the trustee can stop payments if someone shows cruelty, prejudice, or harm toward a vulnerable family member. My father's hands started shaking as he read it. His face changed as he realized this was real, not a threat. My mother slowly walked toward Grace. Her eyes were full of tears now. I'm sorry, she said softly. Then she paused and tried again. I was wrong. I shook my head slightly. Say it properly, I said. And look at her while you say it. My mother took a deep breath and stepped closer to Grace so she could see her face clearly. I am truly sorry, she said again. You belong here. You are part of this family. Grace looked at me, still unsure if she should believe it. It's okay, she whispered quietly. I looked at her and gently said, No, it's not okay. But it's a beginning. Then I looked around the table again. From now on, Grace will be treated exactly like every other grandchild. She will get the same love, the same attention, the same place at the table. If I ever see anything different again, the trust money will stop completely. Thomas spoke quietly, almost in shock. You're destroying this family, he said. I shook my head. No, I answered. I am saving it. Or at least I am saving what is worth saving. I pulled out a chair at the table and gently guided Grace into it. She sat down slowly, still unsure. Then I sat beside her. Benjamin sat on her other side so she would feel safe. Now, I said softly, picking up my fork, let's eat dinner together like a real family. My mother walked to the kitchen and started serving food. Her hands were shaking as she placed plates on the table. Nobody spoke. The only sound was forks touching plates and quiet chewing. Catherine left early with her family. She barely said goodbye. Thomas stayed, but he stared at his plate and said nothing the whole time. When the dinner finally ended, my father stopped me near the door. Your grandfather would be proud of you, he said quietly. I am sorry it took something like this for us to understand. I nodded, but I didn't say anything back. I had learned that words were easy. People could say many things. What mattered more was what they actually did. In the car ride home, Grace finally spoke again. Do you think they will be nicer now? She asked softly. I thought carefully before answering. I don't know, I said honestly. But even if they are not, it will still be okay. We don't need people who don't treat you with love. Benjamin leaned forward from the back seat. We are our own family now, he said gently. Grace smiled for the first time that entire day. It was small, but it was real. 3 weeks later, the adoption became official in court. Grace was legally my daughter. My parents sent a small gift card and a short message. Catherine's family said nothing at all. Thomas sent a simple text saying congratulations, but it felt distant. None of that mattered anymore. Because when I looked at Grace standing beside me in the courthouse, and Benjamin smiling beside her, I knew I had done the right thing. Some things are more important than money. Some things are more important than approval. And some things are worth protecting no matter what happens.
अंधेरी दीवारों में खुद को ढूंढता हूँ मैं ये जो दिन सहाने थे उन्हीं को सोचता हूँ मैं तुम्हारे बिन ये मौसम भी बड़ा बेसर्द लगता है दिल का हर एक कोना अब बहुत ही दूर भरता है अंधेरी दीवारों में खुद को ढूंढता हूँ मैं ये जो दिन सुहाने थे उन्हीं को सोचता हूँ मैं तुम्हारे बिन ये मौसम भी बड़ा सर्द लगता है दिल का हर एक कोना बहुत ही दर्द भरता है मेरे दर्द का असर